Imagine you've just started learning to fly a plane and you're high in the sky when your instructor sitting beside you suddenly collapses unconscious and can't be roused. It's the stuff of nightmares, but for Perth-based Max Sylvester, it was the reality of a Saturday afternoon back in August. He was taking his first lesson in a Cessna and his third flying lesson overall when his Kiwi flying instructor Robert Mollard suffered a medical event. With his wife and 3 children on the ground watching, Max, with the help of air traffic operator at Jandakot Airport, managed to get the plane safely to ground. I asked Max what went through his head that day when he realised he was on his own.
We were getting ready, and then one of the younger guys come up to us, which didn't mean anything at the start. But he came up to us and he said that he made a mistake and that he accidentally put more fuel in the plane that we needed. We went up, did our lesson that we were meant to be doing, and then on our way back, I just looked to the right and realised that my instructor was looking over his shoulder to the right-hand side of him and looking into the air. And I was thinking, maybe he's seen something that I needed to see. So I've sort of looked at him again and then realised that he was actually having a seizure. So it was a wake-up call, that was for sure.
You were flying the plane, but this was, what, flight number 3 for you ever, was it, in control?
Yeah, yes, correct, yeah. So the first 2 lessons, you really just, the instructor does everything really, and then you just go into the training area, and then, you'll take control and they'll do your straight and level flying or your effective controls. You sort of get a feel for what it feels like to fly the plane, and then that's pretty much it. And then you go back down to the airport, and then, you're pretty much just watching what they're doing or you're following through. And then the third flight was, you're sort of a bit more involved in what's going on, which was, kind of like a blessing in disguise, because I couldn't imagine what it would have been like if, it was my first exact lesson, because it would have been even worse. You're in your third lesson, and you're really just getting the basis of what it feels like to be flying the plane. So wasn't expecting what was coming next.
So he's having a seizure. He is, to all intents and purposes, almost unconscious, unavailable to you. What do you do?
Because we were on the ATIS at the time, so that's our radio station that we would listen to whether we want to know what runway we're going to be landing on, or if the code has been changing, or if there's anything that, like emergencies or anything like that we need to know about. So we listened to that first, and weather and the wind conditions and everything. We listened to that first, and then obviously he put that onto the station, because obviously when you're in your third lesson, you don't really know much about the radio. You might do like a quick radio call or something. That's it. But so he's done that, and then we were listening to that, and then that's when everything happened. So then it was trying to figure out how to work the radio so I could actually talk to somebody that was going to be able to talk back to me. I had to figure out how to work the radio in a space of maybe a minute, and actually get it onto the station that I needed to get it onto to be able to talk to the tower, and then that's when everything kicked over.
You start talking to the tower, and could you relay, we've got the audio in a moment because I want people to hear the tone of your voice. You start talking to the tower, and could you relay that conversation to us?
Yeah, in my head it was like, but when it came out, it was just more of a, I need to get help. But to be honest, it wasn't really about me. It was more of my instructor is having a seizure and he needs help. It wasn't like, wait, hang on a second, I need to land this plane and I need to fly this plane. Wow, okay. It was more of shit, sorry, my language. I was like, wow, we are in trouble here. I need to get some help for him, not for me. And then it was, just thinking about it now, it was just, it's just crazy. Absolutely crazy.
And the operator asks, do you know how to operate this aeroplane?
Yeah, and then I was, because what the issue was that I had, which a lot of people didn't realise, is that my headset. So what happens is when we were in the lesson, the the instructor will turn the radio down, but then turn the intercom up. So obviously not knowing how to use the dials, I was turning the intercom up, but not turning the actual radio up. So I didn't know how to figure it out. So I was literally holding my hand, my left hand, on my headset, and trying to fly, and holding, my instructor up on one shoulder with my other arm, trying to keep his airways open at the same time. So it was quite hard to actually hear in the first place. So that's when I finally got over to the controller, and then I couldn't really hear anything. So I just said, I'll try and knock back a bit of the power so I can actually hear a little bit better, which is what I did, which I could hear a little bit better. But yeah, when he said, have you flown a plane before? I was like, well, the first thing I thought of was not this plane. So it was my first lesson in this plane. So I hadn't flown this plane properly before or anything. So flying the 172, it's a bit bigger, so it handles a lot better. And then the 152 is so light and nimble, you just get thrown around in the wind. So it was, you get positive Gs and negative Gs all the time, just trying to fly. And all of a sudden your stomach goes into your throat and then back down into your stomach again. And then the controller was just, he was amazing. He was just talking about, what I need to do, how the instructor's going, how I'm feeling. And it was more of a conversation between two mates rather than, an emergency situation and straight to the book. It was more of a, we need to have more of a calmer conversation to keep me calm and to keep him calm, rather than, if you do it by the book, everything's just going to go out the window that you remember, for me anyway.
At one point he does ask an obvious question. Have you landed any aircraft before? And
yes.
And you reply no.
And the answer is no. Yeah. Yeah, no. And a lot of people have asked me this question before as well, is, have you done any sim work or anything like that? And the answer to that is no as well. So people are just, dumbfounded of how somebody can land a plane with no real experience besides, 2 lessons prior to, everything that unfolded. I had a couple of attempts of landing on that day. It was more of like a go-around to see what it'd feel like to actually, land the plane. And then after that, I was actually told by one of the pilots that what I did was actually harder than landing the plane, because I was, affected by the wind shear and everything like that as well by flying so low. But, there's like an actual special license that you need to have to fly that low and then to recover again. So it was just crazy to think of all the stuff that I did that day, and finally landing the plane and everything like that.
We're going to hear a moment of the audio of you communicating with the operator.
Tango Foxtrot Romeo, do you know how to operate the aeroplane?
Very, very light. This is my first lesson.
Instructor at the moment, are they unconscious?
He's leaning over my shoulder. I'm trying to keep him up, but he keeps falling down.
The first thing we're going to do is make sure that the wings stay level and that you keep consistent speed and consistent altitude. Can you tell me how your instructor's doing at the moment? How's he looking?
No, he hasn't woken up. I've just tried to lift his head back up just to check to see how he's going, but he's not responding.
Your instructor communicating at all?
No, he's not.
Thank you, Foxtrot Romeo, that's okay. Your job right now is just keep focusing on that aircraft as best you can. Secondary to that is just to keep his head upright and his body upright in the seat. But we're going to get you on the ground very soon and get both of you guys on the ground safely. You're doing really, really well. You're doing an amazing job.
Yeah, well, my flight instructor did say that I was the best student he's had.
Well, we definitely have a story to tell at the end of this time.
What is amazing about that piece of audio we've just heard, Max, is how calm you sound. As you said, you weren't calm in your own internal head at first, but how calm you sound. And I've sort of put myself in this position, and I've run a parallel tape, and trust me, it doesn't sound anything like that, and it may not have ended up as well. And was this the key to it, that you were able to clear your head and receive the instructions and draw on what you had prepared in the classroom?
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. I just knew that if I was to panic or if I was to stress and not follow the instructions that I've been given, where like the hard reality is we're both dead, and I could essentially crash somewhere, maybe into a house, into a building, into the highway, anywhere, and take someone else out as well, and that's the last thing I wanted to do. So I needed to ground myself and just think, okay, I need to figure out what I need to do to get this plane on the ground, to get my instructor help, and and obviously it was Father's Day the next day as well. So thinking about my kids, thinking about my partner, and I was just, there's no way I'm just going to give up that easily. This is my passion. This is what I want to do. I'm sure I can manage this. I've just got to put my head down and put what I've learned into action, and that's what I did.
And for an hour then, you were talking and getting to the point where you can come into Jandakot Airport. Do you remember those last moments as you're following the instructions and descending the plane? Was there almost a sense of calm?
Yeah, it was. It was pretty stressful at first because obviously the first couple of times when my instructor started to wake up a little bit, and what happened was that he's obviously woken up and he was like, well, what's going on? And then he realised that we were a little bit close to the airport. Then he starts playing around with the controls and start playing around with the radio station, and we lost the radio station and I had to get the radio station back. And I had to sort of, tell him politely, like, please leave the stuff alone, because at the moment I'm in control of the aircraft. You've just had a seizure, and that was so stressful. That was probably the stressfulest part as well. Like I was thinking, well, he grabs the controls, or if he does anything and doesn't realise what's going on, that can just be so much worse than what it needs to be, even in such a hard situation. But yeah, it was coming into land, I was just thinking like, because there was a good crosswind as well. So I just remembered in my training that when you're coming in for a crosswind landing, you need to have your one wing dipped into the wind as well, so then you can come in, so it sort of cuts through the wind. And literally just everything that I'd learned was just going through my head. I was going backwards and forwards, going backwards and forwards. So it was a sense of calm, but it was almost like a sense of panic in my mind to just get it on the ground. But the first couple of times that I actually attempted to land, I was supposedly quite good on profile, but I just didn't feel comfortable in landing at that point, and then had a couple of issues with the instructor that I had in the tower as well, because obviously we had an instructor come up, which, yeah, I'll leave it at that. But it was quite hard.
I'm thinking of it. I've interviewed Sully Sullenberger, who landed the jetliner in the Hudson River. And,
you have you?
Yes, I have. And seriously, just listening to you in your own circumstances, it's all in that incredible ability to go through an ordered set of processes and stay focused on what you have to do. It's like a movie, Max. I don't know if it felt like that at the time. Hey, was it a good landing? Did you?
Yeah, well, yeah, I didn't really think it was, but I felt like I floated a little bit, and with the crosswind, I was trying to keep it on centre. But I didn't think it was a really good landing. Obviously, being my first one, I was thinking, well, this is pretty hectic. But according to everyone else, they were saying it was like a really, really good landing for somebody even that's got the commercial license. They sometimes don't do landings as good as that. So according to everyone else, it was a good landing. To me, I think I was a bit biased against myself, but I probably could have done it a little bit better. But under the circumstances, I did well, I think.
Seeing your wife and kids who'd come to the airport, as you said, it was about a lot of people and a lot of things, this task. Have you kept in touch with Robert Smollard, your Kiwi-born instructor? Obviously, he had health issues he didn't know of at the time, and do you keep in touch with him?
Yeah, I messaged him the other day. he's just gone and done a pilot drone license training. He said he was going to message me to find out, so I could find out how he went. But I haven't heard back from him yet. That was, I think, Friday or something. But yeah, he's doing okay. And he done a scan, I think, 2 weeks ago, and they said that everything was done, everything was gone. So, positive energy and everything. He's going to recover, and he's going to have 100% recovery, and hopefully, he can get behind the plane again. But it's up to CASA at the moment. They're the ones that will control whether he can get his medical again to be able to fly as a commercial pilot, or unfortunately we'll have to wait and see how that goes.
Hey Max, how many hours have you clocked up now flying the Cessna?
So I've got 7 hours at the moment, so with Christmas coming up and everything like that, so I've just sort of backed off a little bit so I could spend some hard-earned money on the kids just for getting Christmas and school holidays and everything like that now as well. And my partner and I are off work until the 4th of January as well, so sort of got it on the back burner, but next year we'll be back into it full steam again and try and smash it out by 2020, hopefully, and get my commercial pilot's license.
7 hours and one landing you weren't supposed to do on lesson 3.
Yeah. I've got to step back as well and just hope that, because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, you'll get your pilot's license, straight away now. It's like, yeah, but I still have to step back and go through the processes like everyone else does. And, one good landing doesn't mean that it's going to be, smooth sailing for the rest of my career. Just got to keep a level head, be humble, and just hope that, I can get something out of what's happened as well. And, when I'm sitting in the contest interview or something like that, or EasyJet or, Air New Zealand maybe, and they say, yeah, so when can you start?
Max Sylvester from Perth, who's probably listening in, by the way. I know he's been streaming the program.